One of the first people this year to sign on as a co-sponsor to a bill which would have increased or reinstated portions of the severance tax for natural gas as a method of creating a permanent funding source for PEIA. That bill unfortunately never made it out of the committee process. Leadership refused to run it, refused to let it go anywhere. I think we even tried to make a discharge motion one time so that we could debate that on the floor. I could be wrong, but I seem to remember that at some point in time. I think that certainly we have to stay competitive with our neighboring states, because we don't want to see somebody build a business across the river or across state lines when we're talking about Pennsylvania, Ohio, and other areas where the extraction of natural gas may be an issue. But relative to the rest of the country, I think you're right. We are lower in some areas. There's some hocus pocus to the math about the way that Pennsylvania and other states calculate, what their severance tax is on natural gas. But at the end of the day, the short answer to your question is yes. I don't have a problem with a severance tax on natural gas to meet, particular funding obligations like PEIA, and certainly to balance the state budget as a whole, if that becomes necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
I absolutely am 100% in favor of raising the severance tax, and I'd just like to let everyone know too that my father has worked in coal mines. My father is working with operating engineers right now on a natural gas pipeline, and I'm 100% in favor of that, because we look back at the history of our state with coal mining, and we have politicians who receive large donations from these companies to basically backbone and say, okay, yeah, we're not going to raise the taxes on you. Scratch my back, I scratch yours. And then when these coal companies have moved out of the state in the past, we're left with, areas we have to then fix and clean up, and little to nothing to show for it. So I'm 100% in favor of raising the taxes on natural gas. As Delegate Eisner mentioned, yes, that would be a way we could start patchwork with PEIA, the massive funding that we need to put into that program. We should be looking at natural gas, severance tax increases, and Mr. Eisner said, we want to be competitive with our neighboring states too. But the fact of the matter is, we need to be looking out for our residents first and foremost, without having an unjust tax on this natural gas industry. But we also need to make sure they're paying their fair share. You start looking at the environmental concerns that come along with it. We need to make sure that they're taking care of the land, not abusing the rights of the people. And it's a great way to pad the budget. We've cut out, we had $200 million deficits the last 2 years. And I think adding an increase into the tax for natural gas and other extraction industries would be a great way to solve that problem.
Thank you. Mr. House?
The cut of the severance tax has not hurt the state in that respect. We find that the gas companies are providing tremendous jobs right now. The gas companies are providing employment that is very high-paying jobs. I think that we need to be doing all we can to enhance gas companies coming and investing in our state. An increase in that tax would stifle that, I believe, and could hinder that. I don't think we need to do anything that would hinder our economy and hinder the employment of our folks. So a severance tax, I don't believe is going to be the answer to the budget. The severance tax that are there certainly are good, are helpful, but we need to really look at that closely and make sure that it doesn't hinder the growth of companies coming in, and that it wouldn't hinder companies investing in our state. As far as the PEIA, just to mention, I think privatizing the PEIA is probably the best thing that can be done to take care of that expense as well. But anyway, we need to do all we can to continue to enhance companies coming into the state.
Thank you. Mr. Hartman?
Thank you. I don't think there's any question that there will be increases in the severance on natural gas. I think one thing that's important, we've got to be able to move that natural gas. It's not worth 15 cents in the ground. And I think that I know that it's a very difficult issue in Pocahontas County, but the pipeline right now is a very hot issue. But I think that once we're able to move the gas, there's a sale for it. I think you'll see the severance tax on natural gas increase, and I'm sure there will be some increases in the percentages as we move along. But I think we have to be very judicious with that. You can kill the goose that lays the golden egg if you're not careful. Coal maintained, severance on coal maintained West Virginia budgets for many, many years, and obviously that has changed over the past 3 or 4 years. And although coal has made some recovery, but I think we've got to be very careful about. We have cut some taxes that on business that I don't think really made much difference as far as growth and those kind of things are concerned. But it's very easy to say, well, I think we ought to make this increase. But here again, the unintended consequences that come with that, I think we have to be very judicious as we look at those kind of things. The PIA is a big issue, a very hot issue right now. It's being studied, but I'm not sure that we can raise all the money we need for PIA from one source. I think that's got to be considered very, very carefully. PIA is a big insurance company, and I think that we've got to be careful. It's an emotional issue now.